You're now watching Sports Bettor's Paradise on the Bet Rivers Network.
All right, Jimmy Ott, Paul Stone. Let's continue to look at some more of the bowl games. Let's go to the Fenway Bowl and North Carolina, 3.5, 53.5 over UConn. And UConn Jim Moore Jr. has done a great job turning that program around. They got to a bowl game, but they just couldn't compete against Marshall. This time around, I think it'll be a little bit different. I don't know if you've heard, but there's a few things happening and some transitions going on in Chapel Hill. And so, and we with all the attention on Bill Belichick, now he brings over his son and the handwriting's on the wall. We know what's going on there. And look, Carolina, got to go back to when Lawrence Taylor was there last time they won an ACC championship game. Hey, try something. Get out the box. That's fine. What you got to lose? What have you been doing? North Carolina running back Hampton, though, he is a big deal. 1,660 yards rushing on the season with 15 touchdowns. He is out. That is a major factor here for North Carolina. We're always trying to gauge motivation. UConn's motivated. Trust me. They will be ready to play in this one. Moore Jr. will have his team ready to play. I like them straight up. I'll certainly take the 3.5 here with the Huskies in the Fenway Bowl, Paul.
Yeah, Mac Brown's out at North Carolina. Bill Belichick's in, and tight end coach Freddie Kitchens will serve as the Tar Heels interim coach in this game against UConn. I certainly agree with you that the motivational edge here has to be with Connecticut. Like you kind of indicated on a previous podcast, the Navy-Oklahoma game, Oklahoma favored by only 3 over Navy, and I still recommend Navy in that game, but you're usually going to get more points than that in that type of matchup. I was hoping for a little bit more points with the Huskies here over North Carolina. So right now I'm on the sideline on this one, but I definitely understand your position, and it's UConn or nothing here because they have the clear motivational edge, and North Carolina has some transition as they move to Coach Belichick next season.
Earn a chance at $10,000 in bonus credits with the Bet Rivers prop packs. Place NBA same-game parlays to collect player card prop packs and earn rewards. You win based on how your player performs. Log into BetRivers.com or the BetRivers app to place your bet and get your pack. The Pop-Tarts Bowl. We love Pop-Tarts. Love double play on this one. Both Paul and I are on the same team here. Miami is 3 and 56.5 over the Iowa State Cyclones. So Miami, great season this year, and they had more than their fair share of excitement with that high-flying passing game with Cam Ward. And boy, they lost some tough ones down the stretch, but man, had some close calls along the way as well. Certainly against Virginia Tech and Cal. Iowa State got pushed around pretty bad down in Jerry World in Arlington, Texas, in the Big 12 championship game. So Iowa State trying to rebound, and Matt Campbell's done a nice job. Some people like to criticize him. They haven't had a whole lot of success in Ames over the years, so it's hard place to win. He's done a really good job. You're just getting them in these games. Miami, one of their wide receivers is definitely out, and Horton, an even better receiver. Their leading receiver, Restrepo. We're still waiting to see the final decision on that 1,100-yard receiver. So Cam Ward will be without one, maybe multiple of his favorite targets for this bowl game. We're both on the Cyclones here, plus the points. You talked about level of motivation as well. Miami, after being part of the playoff picture for so long and then being left out, how excited are they going to the Pop-Tarts Bowl, Paul?
Yeah, I'm with you there. I mean, so much of my recommendation here is based on the fact that Miami entered the month of November ranked 4th in the wire service polls. They were clearly in contention for a spot in the 12-team playoff, being undefeated, in control of their own destiny. They lose 2 of their final 3 games, fell at Georgia Tech 28-23, and then their regular season finale to Syracuse on the road as well, 42-38. So I'm seriously questioning just how motivated Miami will be to play Iowa State on December 28th in the Pop-Tarts Bowl. What are they going to bring to the table? Their success this season has certainly revolved around that offense, high-octane offense engineered by quarterback Cam Ward, who has indicated he plans to play in this bowl game. But it's defense. The Hurricanes' defense certainly a sore spot. Gave up 31 points or more in 5 of their 8 ACC games, so not that strong defensively. we've talked about Miami's motivation after being in the playoff picture all season long. Iowa State also at the end had a chance to be in the playoff. They played, as you mentioned, Arizona State in the Big 12 championship game in Arlington, just got handled by the Sun Devils 45-19. But I still think their motivation is going to be higher. They're going to be more excited to play a traditional power and brand like the Miami Hurricanes than vice versa. And like you mentioned, I think Matt Campbell is an underrated coach. You look at what they did before he arrived there in Ames, and it wasn't very much. And they've been a factor on the college football landscape the past several years. I just think they're going to be pumped up to play. They've got some players. I like their quarterback, Rocco Becht. He's one of my favorite guys in the college football scene. So, like you, I like the Cyclones plus 3.5 over a deflated Miami squad.
All right, both of us on the Cyclones in the Pop-Tarts Bowl. Don't forget, players can play same-game parlays on college football and NFL games to earn squares. Our exclusive Squares game offers additional chances at profit boost, bonus bets, and many $10,000 jackpots. Visit BetRivers.com or the BetRivers app for more details. One of the better bowls, I think, in the minor bowls or just of the bowl season is the Alamo Bowl. Colorado 5.5, 54.5 over BYU. And one of the reasons I think both teams are bringing just about everybody. Both teams will be basically at full strength. And so, it helps that you have your kid playing one of the major players on your team, and basically somewhat of a quasi-adopted son in Travis Hunter as your other best player on the team. So they are playing, and when your best players play, it's easy for everybody else to follow suit. Same thing with BYU. BYU had a heck of a season this year. Very, very good, and everybody seems to be playing for them as well. Now, one of the receivers, Lassiter, will have to sit out for a disciplinary reason. He had a personal foul late, the targeting foul against late in the game last time, so he'll be out for this one. But I like BYU right here, Paul, and this just in, but Colorado is just a little bit of a public team, and they're a little bit inflated every time. I think this line should be tighter, maybe under a field goal. I'll take 5.5 in this one, and I think it's going to be a very competitive game and one of your higher quality bowl games in the Alamo Bowl this season.
Yeah, like you, I think it shapes up as one of the more interesting and intriguing bowl games potentially of the entire bowl season. You got a meeting of Big 12 teams who didn't play during the regular season. Both carried playoff aspirations until deep in the regular season, but stumbled a little bit down the stretch. The portal losses seem to be modest. Both teams, as you indicated, will have pretty much a full complement of players. That can always change. Always check your newspapers and your websites, but it appears like, that the most everybody's going to play. And if that's the case, this is going to be a really interesting bowl game. I don't really have an opinion here. For me, it's tough to gauge, how these teams are going to approach this game from a mental viewpoint and who might have the greater inspiration. So, but I agree with you, man. This is really a game. If you're going to, you might not watch each and every bowl game this bowl season because we're going to have a high concentration of bowl games between now and New Year's Day or so. But this is certainly one you want to circle on your calendar and plan to watch.
That's all Coach Prime needs is to promote a little something for him. He doesn't do enough for promoting himself. They do get good ratings. There'll be a nice bowl game at the Alamo Bowl. The Texas Bowl in Baylor and LSU. This is a pick'em in 59.5. And, well, this is the LSU tie. This is a Baylor head coach and Dave Aranda going against his former employer. That's right. He was a great defensive coordinator for some championship teams at Baton Rouge, whether it was for Les Miles or Ogeron. So he's highly respected and boy has a little bit of a calm, not fiery type. He takes that different type of not laid back, but just chill. And the players do like him. They really do like him. I think he's got a little extra motivation in the tank to go against his extra employer. Trust me. Baton Rouge, the goal is not to end up in the Texas Bowl. Last time they went to the Texas Bowl, they got slaughtered by Kansas State, and, well, this might be some of the same. I like the way this Baylor team responded to. I thought that Hail Mary, that was bad, and that was poor execution of defending the Hail Mary in Boulder. That cost them that game. I get it. But they rallied and wondered if the the seat was getting a little warm after blowing that game in Boulder. But boy, they finished strong, and this was one of my more profitable teams coming down the stretch, Paul, was back in the Baylor Bears. I know you like them in this spot as well.
Yeah, Dave Aranda, as you mentioned, former defensive coordinator at LSU. I think he's one of the true good guys in college football. And as you mentioned, he's got a calm demeanor. He looks like he's just walking alongside the river as the game goes on. He takes a real laid back approach. I know he's like a duck. I'm sure the feet are moving under the water, but he appears to be totally in control. This is a Baylor team that is coming off of a 3-9 season in 2023. They start out 1-5, and Aranda, there was a lot of talk at the end of last year that he might not survive and coach in 2024, but they gave him another opportunity, and he starts this season at 1-5. They've lost 5 games in a row at the season's midpoint, and it looks like, he might not even, there was whispers that he might, and thoughts that he might not even last the season. And as fate would have it, they win 5 straight down the stretch. They finished 7-5, and they really played some good football, especially on the offensive side of the ball with their quarterback, Sawyer Robertson. Sawyer Robertson's a guy who was not even expected to be the starter this year. They had gotten DeQuan Finn, Toledo's quarterback, last couple of years there for the Rockets. Finn was injured early. I think he got well towards the end of the year, but Robertson had proven himself by then and cemented the position. So Sawyer Robertson does a big-time job. You mentioned about motivation. One of the SEC slogans through the last several years has been, it just means more. I think in this case, it means more to the Baylor Bears. I think, like you mentioned, LSU's preseason goal, and when they're going through those grueling workouts in the summer before fall drills start in August, they're not thinking to get to the Texas Bowl. They're thinking about national championships, and certainly this year, at least the 12-team playoff, which they were considered a key contender for. But those goals were not reached. They're going to be without offensive tackles Will Campbell and Emory Jones, 2 of the better tackles in the draft. They've opted out to prepare for the draft, as has tight end Mason Taylor. So they've got some key weapons out on offense. Another wide receiver who's been a contributor, C.J. Daniels, went into the transfer portal. And I just think Baylor, I think they're going to be pumped up. I don't have much doubt that even without the key players, LSU on paper has a better roster, but I just think Baylor's going to be the more inspired team. And like you said, I think Aranda has a little bit extra motivation. I think he has great respect for LSU, but you always want to beat and perform well against the people who you've been associated with in the past. So I think a lot of things point to Baylor here. I like Baylor to beat LSU in the Texas Bowl.
All right, let's move on to the Sun Bowl and Louisville and Washington, and some key roster monitoring here because University of Louisville quarterback Tyler Shuff is out. I know Paul, you have more information on these rosters, who's available and who is not. Again, the Cardinals kind of a high flying act this year, but 2.5, 49.5 over Washington. You like the under in this one, so I would think it's due to the key offensive weapons that'll be out for both teams.
Yeah, it's not any big secret, Jimmy. Back on December 9th, when these bowl games started showing up, the lines on these bowl game sides and totals started showing up market wide. This total opened up at 53, and then a couple of days later, Tyler Shuff announced that he was opting out of the bowl game to prepare for the NFL draft. And Shuff's a guy who threw for almost 3,200 yards this year as the Cardinals starting quarterback, completed 63% of his passes, 8.2 yards per pass attempt, 23 touchdowns against just 6 interceptions. So he had a pretty good year statistically. And their backup, Harrison Bailey, he's a guy who originally signed with the University of Tennessee out of high school. He was a big-time recruit. He wasn't one of the top 2 or 3 recruits at quarterback in the nation, but he wasn't. He was in that next tier of recruits. To be fair, it just hasn't happened for Harrison Bailey to this point. He left Tennessee, went to UNLV. He's been with Louisville the last couple of seasons, but in his past couple of seasons, 2 seasons at Louisville, he's only appeared in 4 games. He's thrown a grand total of 7 passes in the last 2 years, so he's seen very little action. So, suffice it to say, Louisville's offense not going to be nearly as prolific with Bailey at the controls. The total has dropped 3.5 points, but I don't think that's, that doesn't reflect strongly enough, in my opinion, Schuff's absence. Washington's a team that's somewhat limited offensively, but they are pretty good defensively, especially against the mid-tier and lesser offenses. Louisville's certainly not been a lesser offense because that's kind of been their bread and butter this year. But I think they're going to be somewhat one-dimensional with Bailey at quarterback and Schuff on the sideline. So I think 49.5 is a little bit too high of a total for this game. I like Louisville and Washington to go under that total of 49.5.
All right, under the total of 49.5. We'll continue to look at bowl games and the college football playoff throughout the entire college football season right here with Sports Bettor's Paradise. For Paul Stone, I'm Jimmy Ott. We'll see you next time on the Bet Rivers Network.